You are not going to get anywhere in life, spiritually or otherwise, until you come to that point where you don't give a damn what people think about you. As long as you worry about what other people think about you, you will be mediocre. It only matters what you believe about yourself. Believe in yourself as a successful person. Believe that you can and you will. But until you believe you can, you won't.
Peace and elevation, family. It's your boy Drew from Nora, the Living Survival Manual, here to teach you different ways to see your greatness by investing in yourself. Let's get into the vibes.
I gave them something to believe in, you know they ain't believe it. Tried to show them the vision, they ain't zoom in to see it. Told them about these heights, they said it's too high to reach it. And that had me feeling like Mike, I told them you gotta beat it. See, it's diamonds in your soul, but you gotta dig a lot deeper. See, all of our minds been exposed, but I've been changing the frequency. Sending my prayers and affirmations, way past where them eagles be. What I learned in my returns is not all things you need to see. You gotta feel it, the negative talk, the negative thoughts, and you gotta kill it. I know that it's hard and it leaves scars and it ain't appealing, but you gotta heal it. There's lessons in every little layer, but you gotta peel it. Cause the best way to get some air is removing your ceiling. Look, trust me, I know cause I did it. Hit rock bottom, looked around like damn, what the fuck I do with it? I remember the levels and picked up my shovel and I started digging and digging and digging until I got dizzy. And trust me, the spirit been busy. I'm back and I'm paid and I'm busy, so feel like I'm acting the way that you get it. This is for back in the day when they just shit it. I gave them something to believe in, you know they ain't believe it. Tried to show them the vision, they ain't zoom in to see it. Told them about these heights, they said it's too high to reach it. And that had me feeling like Mike, I told them you gotta beat it.
Yes, Zersky. Peace, love, and light. It's the God Lord Christopher, the Living Survival Manual, and I'm back with another download straight from the cosmos. Remember, someone has to see your greatness. Why not start with yourself? Stay blessed, always finesse. Definitely trust the Most High's process, the truest keys to success. Hey, listen, man. It's been a minute. I probably haven't did a show in about a month or so, but we back. We back with some good knowledge. We back with a breath of fresh air. We're back with the God, Mr. Devin Mars, man. If y'all don't remember, Mr. Devin Mars brought us some amazing information last podcast. He actually was our last episode that we did. Episode 57. Iconography 101. You feel me? He definitely gave us a lot of enlightenment on why signs, symbols, shapes, and all sizes are very important in our perspectives, right? How it plays a major part in our lives, and you know how we can utilize these things to actually create a new future for ourselves, right? So from there, you know, he also had, you know, if you go back and look, stated that he had this thesis that he was working on, y'all. Right? He has his thesis that he's working on. And, you know, it's actually the title of today, which is Metaphysics of the Hood. Part one. Part one. You dig me? It's the Mars. It's the Mars. How you been, God?
Give thanks, brother. First off, I want to say thank you for having me on the platform. You know, it's always an amazing time when we get to do this, brother. So last show was incredible. This show is going to be jam-packed with lots of gems that are really good because, you know, this is the last day of Black History Month. So this is really important, you know, to just lay out the framework of what hip hop is as we go into what I say is a new beginning of hip hop. You know, we had 50 years last year. Now we're in 51. So it's almost like the slate is cleaned again. We have a fresh canvas to be able to create, you know what I'm saying? So I think somebody like D1 is really helping to herald in a lot of that clarion call that a lot of the brothers and sisters in the community are feeling regarding the state of our music, the state of our art, you know, and us needing to protect it and have the proper ownership so that narratives are not spanned against us that do not highlight what it is that we came here to do, and just be great and highlighting our greatness and stuff like that. So with that being said, I want to provide this thesis to the entire community. I want to dedicate this to all my ancestors, past, present, and future, known and unknown, seen and unseen. I want to dedicate this to my daughter. And I mean, I got to dedicate it to my wife as well, because obviously she brought forth our daughter, which gave me honestly the wherewithal to say, you know what, like I can be a better person in my community, and I can help to enact change in my community, starting with myself in my own household. So without further ado, y'all, I offer y'all the metaphysics of the hood.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on 1 second. Siri, Siri be thinking I'm talking to her, and I'm not talking to her.
Yeah. Let me turn my do not disturb on too, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So metaphysics of the hood, guy. Metaphysics of the hood. I was actually doing my own homework, like right before we got on, and over, just the course of time since you've actually told me about the title and your thesis and things of that nature. And it got me thinking, right? It put me in my I call it my thought bag. You feel me? Like it got me thinking, got me in real deep thought. And I started, just going over just in layman's or in simplest terms, just looking at physics or meta or what that actually entailed, right? And I started breaking down that definition. I started seeing that, okay, these are things that we're learning about that are outside the physical conditions that we currently are living through, but how it ties into that as well, right? Whether it's our knowledge that we have, the knowledge of what our reality, our existence, the knowledge of why we have different perspectives and things of that nature based off of what we were maybe taught in our own household or the environment that we grew up in. So I'm really excited about how metaphysics of the hood, right, is going to play out, because one, I've lived through it. I'm pretty sure you've lived through it as well. And I feel like a lot of us don't even understand why we're truly in this type of circumstance, and it's only going to be able to come to the forefront once we get that knowledge of it first, right? So yeah, man, I told you this is your show. I'm just here to take notes. You dig what I'm saying? And I look forward to everything that you got to teach us, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you, brother. That was a stellar introduction, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you was doing your homework and doing your research. That's very, very important. And I'll start off there. What you were doing was participating in the pillar of hip hop that we call knowledge, right? So knowledge of self is, I would say, the first pillar of hip hop, because it all starts with knowledge of self. From there, I would go into DJing. After DJing, there's MCing, there's breaking, like breakdancing, and then there's writing. So I'm gonna run through all 5 of those in this podcast episode, so that the community can have a well-rounded understanding of how that pertains to metaphysics and how that pertains to us. Since this is hip hop, and I would say that we are the custodians of that knowledge of self, and we have a duty to be able to preserve that knowledge of self and pass that on to our future generations, and to our projects, stuff like that. So yeah, what is hip hop? I'll start there. I actually have some notes. Let me pull out my notes so I can say it exactly how I wrote it down in the notes, because it's very important for when people want to take notes. All right, so give me just a second, y'all. All right, so I would say that hip hop is a metaphysical tool that aids in our evolution, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, physically. It aids in our evolution because hip hop is connected to Africa and is connected to the indigenous rites of passage that our ancestors would have had to partake in, in order to basically activate that greatness within them, as this podcast is called See Your Greatness. I see your greatness. I see my greatness. I see everybody's greatness in the community. So I'm offering this so that as we move through this year, we have a firm understanding of what is hip hop. hip hop is more than just rap music that you hear in mainstream media today, right? So right here I have hip hop is a metaphysical tool, and it transcends the rap music that we hear all over the world in mainstream media. It is the collective thoughts, feelings, and ideas of the African diaspora. In other words, it is a first-hand documentation of our experiences in the Americas. And hip hop holds, and I'm talking about the entire culture, all those 5 pillars I just gave y'all, right? That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about just the music. The entire culture and framework of hip hop holds a very immense cultural and historical value and significance. And this is the way that we preserved our knowledge of self, right? Right now, hip hop by way of rap music is being sold to us as a commodity, as we can see by, you know, the 21 Savages, the Sexy Reds, and there's too many to name. You know what I mean? It's being sold as a commodity. And it's starting to take, well, it's already been global, right? And right now I'm talking about rap music specifically, like the genre of rap music. It's been global for a while, but what I think is ending up happening is the biggest stars within the rap music industry, what they do tends to get looked at on a world level as that's the entirety of hip hop. And that's not true, because hip hop is not even about talking about murdering our own. It's not talking about, you know what I mean, mistreating and disrespecting our ladies, you know, and not providing what we need to provide for our children. Like us, community building, staying together, being able to put that love in our community, that principles like each one teach one, you know what I mean? Those are things that were very prevalent and very influential in our growth and how we got where we are today. So moving on, like I said, it's being sold to you as a commodity, and it has contributed some of the most iconic works of art in world history. Okay, hip hop as a culture has been taken to the United Nations, and it's been recognized by the United Nations of New York. Y'all could look into KRS-One, who speaks at length about the fact that they went up to the United Nations and vouched for hip hop to be recognized as something more than just a music genre, you know? So right here, now I'm going to get into laying out the framework of why I say hip hop is metaphysical. Now for this, what I would need to do is draw upon comparisons to things like the Bible and what it says in Genesis, because it's very, very interesting when you read Genesis, and what you're doing when you're reading Genesis, you're reading about your own creation, first and foremost. Whatever denomination and sect that you belong to or participate with, when you read Genesis, when you read any mythos story, you're reading and pondering your own existence. Many different cultures along history have been able to put their 2 cents, so to speak, in on how we arrived here, where we're going after this, you know? So there's already been a very spiritual and metaphysical essence in the things that we do on a daily basis as human beings. Now, what I'm here to do is give rise to the fact that hip hop is something that you do. It's something that you are, okay? So, like I said, with that first pillar and principle of hip hop being knowledge of self, I would start off in Genesis, where it talks about in the beginning, there was basically like this nothingness, and everything was formless and in a void, and there was these waters, and the face of God hovered over the waters, you know? This is very important because when you look at the ceremony of hip hop as it, pertains to where it started at in New York, and for the sake of this conversation, I want to also say that hip hop is eternal. Hip hop is ancient. It is ancient. It's so ancient. It's like the original thing that we did. Like Adam had the job to name the creatures that the Most High was creating. So Adam was an MC. Adam was able to look at his environment and be able to call forth the name of what it is he was observing, you know? And then he had a knowledge of those things, and therefore had a knowledge of how to handle them. And then he was able to pass that knowledge down to his firstborn son, who was Cain, who was a tiller of the ground. Cain's job was to take care of the ground, the soil. In hip hop, one thing you hear a lot in the music is, I got it out the mud. I got it out the dirt, you know? So that's showing you literally the lineage of where we actually came from. We did get it out the dirt. We did grow from the dirt. We were, even metaphorically, planted or supplanted within our mother's womb. And then we grew as a seed until we reached the full gestational period. And then we were birthed through. B-I-R-T-H, birth, but B-E-R-T-H deals with water. Your mother's water broke. So that was there, the face of God hovering over the waters, and said, let there be light. To me, that's one of the oldest, most ancient rap lines ever. Let there be light. We still say it today. We still say it today. Instead of saying, let there be light, we say, it's lit. That's what we do. That's what we say. And this is in Genesis. God said, let there be light. Then there was light. Then he saw that the light was good. So that's what we doing. That's what we do. Oh, it's lit. It's a vibe. It's a wave. And then we see that it's good. And then we want to create more of that. That happened in hip hop too. Starting with that DJ, who is the initiator of the divine ceremony of the communion of the natural elements of nature. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop is the communion of the natural elements of nature. Okay? So you got air, you got water, you got earth, you got fire, right? Those elements we utilize all the time. How many times have you heard Lil Wayne's song, and before he says his verse, you can hear him flicking the lighter? That's the fire right there. You know, people talk about getting green, talking about money, they talk about smoking green. So that's the vegetation. It's the commerce. It's the actual current and energy that is flowing through that comes from the earth. You know what I mean? Again, reinforcing that principle of the fact that we got it out the mud, that we were tillers of the ground, you know, and we were supposed to tend to that ground and tend to that soil so that our younger brothers, are able to be a shepherd for the animals and the livestock, which also I would say is a representation of the people in the audience when that MC get on the mic. That MC is like Abel, offering a divine blessing to the Most High. And when we utilize these principles of hip hop in the proper equilibrium, meaning when we balance them all out, it creates a holy cross, right? You got air, you got earth, you got fire, and you got water. It's actually a very holy thing. There's something called the Bakongo cosmogram, which basically is the same symbol, but enclosed within a circle, right? And it talks about the different stages that the sun goes in. When the sun rises up over the equator, or sorry, not the equator, but the horizon, you know? In ancient Kemet, they had a name for Ra in the morning. His morning aspect was called something. Ra at midday or at its zenith was also known as something else. Ra in the afternoon was also known as a different name. But Ra in the evening, when he returned back to the underworld, was also known as another name again. So he has 4 names looking at 4 cardinal directions. We see the same thing written about in Genesis, or not in Genesis, in Revelation, excuse me. And even with Ezekiel, his vision and seeing these creatures that had 4 faces or were able to gaze in 4 different directions. You know, these are the 4 cardinal winds: north, south, east, and west, when we deal specifically with metaphysics. So what you're watching when you're seeing a hip hop performance, where you're actually participating in and watching, is an aspect of ceremonial magic. This is why I say, if we maintain the correct ownership of our culture and tell the narrative straight so that everybody can benefit, we all gonna eat B, like my man said in Paid in Full, right? We can all pay it forward and create something very, very incredible, because it says, when 2 or more are gathered in my name, so too shall I be there. So when we come together and we have a hip hop ceremony, what we're doing actually, unbeknownst to us, is we're honoring the Most High. That's what it is. This ceremony is no different than when you look into Africa and see them start that fire and they dance around the fire. If you ever seen the Prince of Egypt, Moses, when he left Egypt, he ran into Jethro, and they ended up throwing him a whole celebration because he helped rescue Jethro's daughters from thieves. You know, that right there in and of itself is a metaphor. Traveling out of Egypt, which is known as, when they talk about Pharaoh, the word for Pharaoh in Hebrew represents a house of bondage. So hip hop is our exodus. We travel from out of Egypt and out of the lands of Canaan and Canaan, right? We come out of Kemet and we travel east. We came from the east and we travel west to be able to give this knowledge to the world about what hip hop is. And so this is why I say hip hop is a very, very spiritual thing. Even we have greats like Fela Kuti talking about how music is a spiritual thing and how you don't play with music. And when you are gifted with the gift of musicianship, then you need to utilize it for the betterment and upliftment of humanity. And he said, all those who play with music die young. The list goes on and on about how much blood has been spilled and shed at the hands of misutilizing the gift of musicianship. Literally, there's so many people dying, getting shot, like King Von. I could say Juice WRLD. I could say, like, there's too many. Whether it's by the hands of homicides or the opioid crisis that we're dealing with, which is another thing. Hip hop can combat that, because within the framework of hip hop is community building. You know, it's all about being able to uplift your community and teach your community and equip them with what they need to survive. It's more than just giving them knowledge. It's like creating workshops and creating initiatives so that the youth know how to do their taxes or know how to sign checks. You know, because how are you going to be a young boss? These guys are listening to all these rappers talk about how they got money and they got this and they got that. But how do you have it when you don't know how to sign a check? How can you be a boss when it comes time to pay out everybody that you got to pay out? You don't even know how to write the check. This is why it's important to create initiatives that are led by Black scholars who care about the upliftment of their community so that everything can be paid forward and we keep the cipher rolling. We keep the cipher rolling. The word cipher has a double meaning. Cipher is like when we in the rap cipher and we're sharing the messages and it's going around, it's circulating, right? Newspaper goes in circulation, money goes in circulation, the sun goes in circulation. You know what I'm saying? Also, now I'm going to go into, like I said, the DJ. The DJ goes and puts that needle on that record while it spins. You know, that needle, that point of that needle represents a fine precision focus. It represents the point at which God said, let there be light. And the fact that the whatever that phrase was has movement. So when God said it, whether it was internally in the mind or out loud, it still had a vibration and it moved through the reality and permeated all things, from the highest heavens down to the lowest depths. And that is what hip hop is. We even have it set up in the stadium where people are up higher in what we call the nosebleeds, and then all the way down to like center stage and then right in the front of the stage. And then everybody normally goes all around this person, especially when they sell out stadiums, right? That person's energy is being amplified into the environment. What happens when we have someone talking about things that are eventually going to lead to our demise? What happens when we put that kind of energy within an atmosphere? What will that create? In other words, if that was a woman and she was having that being poured within her, what kind of baby would she create? You know, so the DJ is the initiator of the ceremony. The DJ is also an architect of sound. The DJ is able to manipulate sound in order to get the people moving, right? The DJ also has the very important job of being able to have the sound be distributed through what's called speakers. Normally they're called stereos, but we also call them speakers. And it's so funny that it's called speakers because speaking is what I'm doing right now. And speaking came from out of Genesis. It says it that, and God said, let there be light. That is a sequence of action, you know? So I'm going to lead now into the MC, right? And I have this written down in my notes very specifically about what this MC is. The MC is a wordsmith. A wordsmith is one who can utilize words to bring about certain perceptions, feelings, moods, you know, and or other words, vibes. So this MC is the master of the ceremony. That's what MC stands for, master of the ceremony. The MC is the one who has the job to hold the mic and command the energy that is in the room. So in other words, the way that Moses had a staff, he turned the serpents into a staff, right? We have that same ability as an MC when we grab that mic. That mic is our staff. You know, it's not only our staff, it is also our where did I put it? It's our marker, it's our pencil, it's the thing that we utilize to record. You know, it's funny that like recording is like camera recording, but recording like record is writing. So they're weaved in right over top of each other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I put that the MC is the master of the ceremony. They put words together to create a verbal imagery of the environment. So there's pretty much these videos that have been going viral on social media where there's rappers performing in public and they are actually just freestyling, but they're pulling elements. They're like someone's walking by and they say, I see you right there with the blue shirt on with the black Vans, and you know, and this guy's just going on rapping over and over, just pulling out the things that he sees around him happening. So in other words, when you're an MC, you're able to pull bars from the ether, right? By way of your thought or your thought, right? And then it's expressed through your mouth. Once you express it through the mouth, it's heard, it's also seen, it can be written down, and it can be done. So there's an entire process. That's why they say, when I say hey, y'all say ho. Hey, oh, hey, oh. They're explaining to you. That's called call and response. Call and response was something that we were doing in what's called work music. Work music is basically the Negro spirituals, the Negro hymns that we were singing, the chants, you know, the incantation. Those are all of those things that we were doing already. So when you see Beyonce doing what she's doing an ancient form of art that we've already been doing. In fact, if we look at the Black man in America, and if some people want to look at it on the plantation, okay, so there was work music, there was Negro spirituals. From Negro spirituals, you get gospel. From gospel, you get blues. From blues, you get jazz. From blues and jazz, you get R&B. From R&B, then you get this thing known as rap or rhythm and poetry. That's what it is. That's what rap is, rhythm and poetry. Right. You know, Lupe Fiasco has a very, very interesting masterclass that he did at MIT on rap theory. So I encourage people to go and look at that. You can find it on YouTube, Lupe Fiasco, MIT. It's like probably like a 2.5, 3 hour video. And he goes in, and when he does it, it lets you know like, wow, this is so much more than, pardon my language, but bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. There's so much more. There's so much more than that. And now the knowledge is coming out that was actually intentionally done to help basically destroy our community. You know, when you try to sever people from their culture, what you're doing is trying to sever them from their collective conscious or their collective consciousness. That's what happened to the Native Americans. You know what I mean? That's what happened to them. Some will say that's what happened to those with the Holocaust or whatever. That's what happened in Gaza right now for sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's like through all of that, we have this solidarity as humans, you know, and hip hop has been the vehicle that has brought humanity together. in the midst of the fact that there's wars. I saw a video of a Japanese dude in I don't know if he was like in Belgium or Germany or something like that, but he was teaching New Jack Swing.
Oh wow!
Think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Japanese dude, and shout out to the Japanese community because they show hella love when it comes to hip hop. They
Right.
even got that song is going viral. I think the dude Japanese. Forgive me if he's not Japanese, but I believe he's Japanese though. Tomoda G or something like that. Right? That's that song is going viral right now. But let me just speak on it right now. There is an immense Asian community that loves hip hop, that adores hip hop, and they got folks teaching classes on hip hop. This is why we cannot just allow ourselves to keep talking about things that are in our demise, because there are people on the planet who see the value of hip hop and they're able to engage with their community, but also an extended community, and bring a vibration of healing and love. And it shows you that that's what hip hop truly is about. It's truly about love. It's truly about peace. It's truly about unity and safely having fun. Those are the original principles of hip hop that I aim to reinstill, because there's going to be a kid that's going to be born 2 weeks from now, 20 years from now. What we have left for him or her as it pertains to hip hop? What world is left for them? So in 50 years, what's actually at the forefront of us right now is a grand opportunity to get off the drugs, stop letting the opioids ruin our community. Like really, this is the clarion call. Like this is it. This is it. It only can go up from here when we choose to unify, which is why I said whoever's on that mic has a responsibility when they have that gift of musicianship to bring the community together. LaRussell is doing that right now.
Right.
He's going crazy with that right now. You know what I mean?
Shout out to Russell, man.
Exactly. Shout out to Russell for sure. Because he is literally, he's being hip hop. He's cultivating hip hop, and then he's showing the youth how to do it. And then he has a very, very important social commentary that he is embarking on in real time, so that people can get the understanding in real time. Because hip hop is a real time thing. It's like one of them things like, oh, you just had to be there.
Right.
That's how back in the day, like, oh, like that. Yeah, they was down on 125th, man. You should have seen it. It was a star-studded event. It was the get up. It was this. It was you know what I'm saying? It's all these slangs and lingos that we have been using over time. You know what I'm saying? To really show, like, hey, this is here. This is a gift from the Most High that we have because of this. We were told in Genesis that there was a Tower of Babel, and that the people were building this tower to reach the gods, and the gods came down and said, let us destroy their language. Let us go down and destroy their language, like confuse their language. Actually, let us go down and confuse their language. I want to utilize that as a metaphor right now. Hip hop was always underground. Hip hop, in fact, started out in the park, right? So that park is synonymous with the Garden of Eden. Because what do you find in a park? In a park, you will find leaves, you will find trees, you will find foliage, you will find animals, you will find soil, all the same exact things that the Most High had Adam and Eve be able to, commune with. You find that in the park. You find that in nature. So hip hop started out in the park. That's what Kanye said to Ellen, by the way. I want to put that in there so that when people can understand what he was trying to say when he said, name somebody. He said Steve Jobs is dead, Walt Disney is dead. Name somebody who is living that you can mention in the same breath as them. And then he went on to say, I am Walt Disney. I am Steve Jobs. And so like that was him actually paying it forward and seeing, yo, we have it right now in front of us. We have it right here, right now in front of us. We could literally change it, and it's happening. D1 was on the Breakfast Club. I believe he wasn't on there yesterday, but I think it premiered yesterday, or however it goes. But
they usually probably pre-record it first.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like That's a monumental moment, to get that moment before the end of Black History Month, you know, because there's so many young kids who are hungry for this, you know, they want this. And I see it even out here when I'm in Canada, they want it. And that's why I'm working to help create opportunities for them, because they want it. And if the people are showing you that there's a demand for this thing, man, go and create it. If you build it, they will come. Shout out Seven Bomar for always saying that. If you build it, they will come. They will show up and they'll support you, you know?
Right.
But yeah, man, like that's really hip hop, bro. So we got the knowledge covered. We got the what's it called? We got the element of the DJ covered. We got the element of the MCing covered. Now I'm going to go on to breaking. Right?
Okay.
Breaking is breakdancing. But what I'm doing for this thesis, I want people to understand, when you watch breakdancing, what you're watching is divine bodily expression. Okay. And I want to extend it to just dancing in general, like the element of Black cultural dancing, whether it's jazz, swing, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's something that I'm a piano, you know what I'm saying, which is going crazy right now, like that is divine bodily expression. And you see people all the time, they channel when they dance. Sometimes they go to a different place, they just tap into the flow state when they dance. You know, there's a girl who was performing to that song Mona Lisa. Her name is Sarah. The video was going viral, like because she was dancing to this song, but people were saying, yo, she's channeling. And she's not thinking about what she's doing. She's feeling the music. She's becoming what you call a slave to the rhythm. A slave to the rhythm in its truest sense means when your body is able to become a pure conduit for the music to express itself. Music is sound, but music doesn't have a mouth.
Right.
Okay? Music can be heard. But one of the things that helps music to be felt is when people's bodies become a conduit for the music to express itself. In other words, your body is the music's mouth.
Okay.
And because we have what's called body language.
Yep.
Through that body language, we are literally being the mouth of the music. And our body is expressing things that the music, which is I'm not talking about the song, I'm talking about the music. The music is the sound without any words. A song is when you put words together with music and you get a song. But the music, you have the heartbeat. But a beat is what we try to catch in music. We try to catch the beat. We try to be on beat. You know what I'm saying? And even when you're on beat, they call it being in pocket. You're sitting in the pocket. You're sitting in like the crevice of where you're in the command center of where the music is emanating from. You know, so you music, you know, so yeah, man. Kind of lost a little bit of my train of thought, but like
help me understand this. So because you were breaking down each element, right? I'm gonna call them elements because you got DJ, you got MC, and we're on breaking. You had started off by saying the DJ was like an initiator, right?
Yeah.
So the MC you had said was a wordsmith. So would they in turns be considered like a conductor?
Exactly.
Okay. So if they're considered a conductor, I'm trying to break it down, I guess, in physics, right?
Exactly.
If they're considered a conductor, then the breaking, your body is the music's mouth. So breaking would be considered. I'm asking.
You say you're asking?
Yes.
Oh, you're asking. Man, I almost want to say like the radiance or like the emitting of what is being conducted. You know what I mean?
So is it like the influence, or is it the thing that's being influenced, or is it the thing that's influencing?
Ooh, both actually, because breaking is influenced by the music, which is influenced by the initiating the sound by taking the point and touching it to the groove. Right? Like how Stella got her groove back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's literally like, but the point, the needle of that is a phallus.
Okay.
And the vinyl carbon record is a womb. So it's actually a process of birth when they touch.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Literally.
Okay.
Here's the thing, right? You got I don't know if it's Michelangelo or Da Vinci, whichever one did the little painting where the hands are almost touching. They're almost touching.
That's Da Vinci, I believe.
Yeah, there was a lady who was breaking it down, and she was saying when you study the hands, Adam's fingers are actually a little bit curled up, but God's finger is fully extended, right? So all humanity would have to do is just literally lift a finger and you can touch God. The DJ has to lift a finger to grab the needle, pick it up, and put it back down. It's a divine process, yo. To the point where that is such a divine process to where those vinyl records went on to be called baby making music.
Right.
How like it's literally it's unfolding on itself, showing you exactly what it is. It is such a divine.
Right.
It's so divine, man. You know, so that's why I would say the breaking is being influenced by the music, but also the breakers are creating this kind of like very high energy. It's a very expressive, very high energy. You know what I'm saying? They're jumping around, they're flipping around. It's gonna be in the Olympics. They have breakdancing in the Olympics now, which I don't know if people know that, but like breakdancing is in the Olympics. Next thing you know, they're gonna be having people in the Olympics having a competition of who got the best high top fade, like who can cut the best high top fade.
Hey, barbering is a sport. You heard?
Because it's an extreme sport. It's an extreme sport. You know what I mean? Because it takes a extreme level of focus to be able to execute an art like that. Like you don't just get Gumby cut on accident. You know? You don't get there's barbers putting all kind of designs. Man, there's barbers who can freaking cut the Great Wall of China in somebody's head. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. It could be an Olympic sport. Like hip hop might have to be its own like, you know, we might have to get together, you know what I'm saying? Like because Versus was showing you, hey, this can be on a world stage. The whole thing with the underground rapping, like when they're doing battle rap and stuff like that, that's the truest form of hip hop right there. Because that's where it started out. It was out in the park, and whatever is going on in our community and in our life, we will, as MCs, go and profess that to our community, which is the same thing as when Plato or whoever back then would meet in the forum. They would meet in the town forum and have these conversations and these discussions.
Right.
We saw that carried on in Harlem on 125th Street. It's the same thing. The men are out, you know what I'm saying? There's merchants, there's community building, there's food, there's music, there's this entire thing, and it's bubbling. You know, and it's like there's babies who walked by that and grew up. They Coi Leray now. They Drake now. They this now.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
You never know who it is that you're influencing. So the best thing that we can do is truly lead with the original principles of hip hop so that our community and our lives can be preserved and the quality of our life can be preserved, you know, and that's happening on a daily basis. So yeah, after breaking, you get writing, right? This is writing. But also I'm going to say this is the same thing as scribing, right? This is scribing.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So writing or graffiti is a divine observation materializing as thoughts that condense and collapse into a glyph. And that glyph becomes the placeholder for a psycho-verbal expression via movement, arithmetic, rhythm, and sound. Okay, so when someone is doing graffiti writing, what they're doing is they're being like what Adam was doing. God told Adam, you got to name all these creatures. Sure, he didn't name it an alligator. Had to be a different name. Alligators English. So for sure, whatever language he was saying, whatever language either he could even mentally conceive, because that's where it would come from first, the mental plane. All is mental, the universe is mental, you know? Right. Leaning to the axioms of Tahuti. Then he was seeing these things on a mental plane, and then use his mouth to verbalize it on a physical plane, then his eyes were able to see what he verbalized. When his eyes saw what he verbalized, he was then able to write this down or record it.
Right.
The same process happens now, except for us writing it down, we literally record it. You know what I'm saying? It's the same exact thing. And this phenomena with fame and paparazzi is showing you they're recording the image. They're taking all these snapshots of the image of the most high creation, which is you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this is what we have here when it comes to writing. And they're creating their own glyphs. They're not even following the rules of what's called manuscript. The letters are big, they're small, they're curved, some of them are sharp. You know what I mean? And we've been able to create an entire genre that is worldwide. And it don't pertain to just black folks. Because I'll be real with you. There's some white boys who do graffiti who are filthy. I mean, like, I'm looking at, and I'm an artist myself, but I'm looking at it like, yeah, that's a little hard. Like, I don't know how he really did. I don't know how he did that, you know?
Yeah.
So taking that, they were expressing what it is that was on their mind. You see, when you get right with the Most High, what ends up happening is when you get poured into, right, you're able to profess whatever's being poured into you directly from the source.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. It's about the source. You want to know how I know this is true? We had a hip hop award show called what? The Source Award. It's telling you. It's literally explaining it to you. It's an entire gospel of hip hop. And it's not just rap music. You know?
When did that actually phase out? Do you know?
Probably like I haven't seen a Source Award since probably like 04, 05, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
If I'm being honest, probably around the same time that ATL blew up with Crunk. Or just because it was New York. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I want to say, even for the young cats that's gonna like watch this later. Hip hop, I say hip hop is eternal because we've already been speaking, we already been writing, we already been dancing, and we already been making music. We used to hunt animals, use certain portions for food, use other ones for just to make things from their nails, from their hair, from all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Exactly. The fur, exactly. We used to take the hide. We used to skin the fur off, take the hide and stretch it over wood that they would go out and make a drum.
Yep.
And I hear that the drum is the divine mind in pursuit of an energy or of an action. So the drumming or the process of drumming is the divine mind in motion. It would be moving and a drumming. This is why anybody who has a dope mind or is a spoken word poet, in poetry, they got this thing where it's like they on the bongos and they, you know what I mean? That thing. If you ever seen what's it called? Extremely Goofy movie. There's when she's doing the poetry, you know what I mean? And they snapping the fingers.
Yeah.
Like people do that. People create music from snapping their fingers. We did it too in hip hop. It was called snapping fingers.
What's amazing is like as you say that too, like because it was a key point that you had said about specifically about drumming, and it goes back to hearing or listening, eardrum, the sound you were literally saying that's the mind in motion.
Yep, it is.
So when you're doing that, like mostly, people are doing that in meditation, they're taking their mind and pushing that towards the source, right? So that you're literally drumming or you're sending a wave or a vibration to the source so that you guys can connect and create this beautiful music together. I'm following, bro. I'm following.
And I didn't create it, right? So like I want to say that like this is something that like it's been a cultivation of probably like I was doing this in like 2018, formulating this thesis, so it's like I was given the ability to hear the message or see the message, experience and feel the message. And I felt so compelled within my spirit to say, I got to make this a thesis. Like, more people need to know about this, because like on multiple occasions, this really saved my life.
Got you.
You know what I mean? Like, for real, for real. And I know there's so many other people that can say the same. And so I know when we have true hip hop initiatives, we can do great things in our community. It's more than just giving back during Thanksgiving and doing turkey drives. It's about like having the actual framework to have buildings. People talk about having properties and being bosses. Like, man, get some property, start up a little coalition for the youth, you know? Because The Get Down on Netflix is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen, because it has real footage of hip hop back then, but it also gives a really good understanding of like the power of hip hop. Yeah. And it shows it when it was real fresh. But one thing I wanted to say though, right? If we dealing with hip hop starting in 1973, right? That's New York. And it resided in New York for a very long time. The thing that I would say probably, like, it was in New York with how can I say it? Like with Kool Herc and them. Those are obviously the pioneers. That's one generation. The next generation under them is 50 Cent, Diddy, like not Ja, I guess kind of Ja Rule, but I meant to say Irv Gotti. That's like the second tier of hip hop. Okay. You know what I mean? And so it was from 1973, and then it was like going and leaning into the 80s, 90s. It was there. New York was the thing. New York was the thing. And then it shifted. And this shift, or this split, is the same thing in Genesis where it says there was waters above and below the firmament.
And you had to divide.
There was a divide. The divide happened in hip hop. We call it the East Coast versus West Coast beef. Wow. That's the literal divide. That's the divide in the cosmos. It's also the divide in our consciousness. And then the number one thing that really came out of that was the gangster rap music and the degradation of the women on a commercial level. You know, because this is now, okay, this is going to be commercially done now. You know, and that's why I want to go back and circle back around to what I said about the Tower of Babel. Those record execs were up in their towers, you know. They even show in the Get Down, there was a tower called, it was a record company called Marrakesh.
I remember. You know?
And it's a big tower. So they came down from the tower onto the street, into the park, which is Eden. That sound like a serpent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Who is standing up and then goes down low, goes down below, and then gets the people to have a split to where it's like the underground and then there's commercial. It's written about. It's not like I can't make it up. It's like it's what I saw happen. You know what I mean? Right. That's the important thing to remember. So with that being said, like I said, there was a split, East Coast, West Coast thing. And then this is when you start to see like the first rivalries in hip hop. Biggie and Pac, you know, and they represent two different styles of music, actually. I would say Biggie is more like Rick Ross, if that makes sense. It's the way that Rick is able to utilize his words to create imagery. When Rick Ross raps, I feel like I'm where he's talking about. Yeah, for sure. When I listen to Maybach music, or he say I'm in the 69 Cutlass, I got my hand on her. I'm like, there, I'm driving it. Yeah. You know, and there's a technique on how people began to live vicariously through the music. It's a metaphysical aspect of the music when it comes to the sound and the engineering, because in the realm of the DJ, there is the engineers and producers. It's DJs, engineers, and producers. All of them together kind of terraform the music according to whatever essence or energy they want to actually put out. Okay. You know, so that's why now lately the music's been getting tuned to like 432 hertz. Certain people have where it's tuned like that because they're trying to let you know, hey, there's these other frequencies. Imagine this, man. One of the greatest hip hop songs is called Crack Music. Kanye West, The Game. Kanye, yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
You know, because what he says, and I don't know if it's this song or another song, but he was like, he said, tracks is what we spitting on, lax is what we sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
With Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad, what does a railroad have?
Tracks.
Exactly. What we spitting on, tracks.
Facts.
Records, tracks.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally. And it's funny because we say facts, but it's facsimile. It's a piece of paper that was copied and sent out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
mm-hmm.
the thing. That's what I said. Writing was that. The writing was the divine observation being condensed and collapsed down into a glyph. And you saw me do that, and that was kind of what initiated the whole iconography 101, because that's what I was doing. I was preparing for the thesis, and you happen to see me explain the element of writing and how divine writing is, and why it's so important to teach kids how to write, how to read and write. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It can be tough because the kids just want to be able to do it. When they sometimes get frustrated with the amount of time that they would need to put in to be able to do it, they recognize that they're not where they could be with it. When they see you pencil and show them the way the letter's supposed to look. No, that's why they have different stages of writing when it comes to children. There's different stages. Children write in. So it's not going to just be letters right away. It's going to be, they barely have sensory motor skills to even hold the pencil straight, to even make that. So what you got to let them do is explore, have that expression with the writing. Whatever they're going to put on the paper, and it has an energetic signature. That's why I keep my daughter's artwork. She has more than me. She has way more artwork than me, you know, and I keep it. And that's not even counting all the stuff that comes from school that I keep as well. I keep all of it because when she's older, I want to show her, hey, this is how much you have grown. So this is why I'm doing this thesis. And I told you before, it's like for the next 50 years, at least I have to give to this, because I want the generation 50 years from now to say, wow, we saw how much it's grown over 100 years. Can you believe it? Just 100 years.
Yeah, bro.
Like that's so much influence in just a short span of time. And that's why I say we have to look at hip hop outside of the lens of 1973. And this is one of the last things I'm gonna say before we can do some Q&A. What time is it? Oh yeah, we do some Q&A after that. So basically, how can I say this?
Y'all make sure to get your questions in the chat, y'all. Get your questions in the chat.
So definitely willing to answer these questions here. Kind of lost my train of thought a little bit, but yeah, that's the whole entire thing. That's really the thesis, right? Now, this is a working thesis. This will be something that will be continually added to, you know, and this is almost like a condensed version of it, because really the thesis is meant to be experienced. So normally, and this is what I'm working toward. This is why I'm like, thank you, brother, for inviting me onto the platform to be able to do this, because what I want to do is travel to different areas and provide this thesis. But I need a PowerPoint, I need a projector, and I need a PowerPoint presentation so that when I'm talking, people can see the visuals behind me in real time, so I can just sync it all together so it can really, really be in the people's consciousness. Like, this is really important, yo. This is really, really important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So if we look at hip hop outside of the lens of 1973, what happened with hip hop when it came to the DJ? The DJ was scratching vinyl records, but the records that they were scratching was disco music. You know, so the era from before them, because remember, it was the breakbeat.
60s,
But the get down.
Right. You're right.
The
Bell bottom, skating.
On the break dancers dance on the breakbeat. The breakbeat is basically the best way I can explain what the breakbeat would be today in today's music would be the beat drop. Okay. Or the point where the hook, like we take it from the top and go through the whole thing, and then the hook drops. Boom.
Man, yeah. Fact.
That's the point where we dance. all of the TikTok dances and all the viral dances are based upon probably the hook of the song, which is synonymous with the breakbeat, right? That breakbeat is a sample typically coming from probably the disco era. You know, so that shows you the earliest, one of the earliest forms of the modern day sampling that we have now today. I don't like no whips and chains, but you can tie me down. That's an old song.
Yeah, facts.
Doja Cat singing, I said what I said. That's what's her name? Walk on by. I forget her name. Diane Warwick. That's an old.
I never really listened to Diane. I gotta go back and play that now.
Come on now.
My bad, bro. My bad, man.
Reunion, man. When you go there, when you see Uncle Gus and them, we call it they cutting the rug. They
cutting the rug. Facts. I'm here with that.
They're explaining to you, hey, we lived during this time. Like, there's people who's still living today, who were there when Malcolm X was there. I met a woman years ago in 2019 who said she marched with Martin.
Wow.
So when you think of the person who lived through that experience and know what the music was like, because they know the state of the union, they knew what Nina Simone was singing about because of what was happening at that time. And I think the very, very important part for people to remember, if we talk about hip hop started in 1973, is Malcolm X died in 1965. Martin Luther King died in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
That's just 5 years.
5 years later.
All hip hop. So we were still in mourning of even Medgar Evers, who died in 1963. You know what I mean? Like these are people who had very prominent roles in our community and in our culture, and they influenced the music. And that music influences people, and then people go on to influence environments. Environments go on to influence the world. The world goes on to influence the cosmos. The cosmos goes on to influence the heavens, so on and so forth. And then it just the cycle keeps going and keep rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the highest highs. That's the holy of the holies right there. It's the holy grail. The holy grail. All right, bro. We could do the question now if anyone has any questions, or for yourself, my brother. I'm willing to answer any and all questions.
Yeah. So I have a few myself. I wanted to ask because I love how you do it as you relate it to something that we've all been influenced by since we've been born, right? Exactly. And we always try to relate it to, I guess you could say, the top two things, honestly, that were our greatest influences. You got the Bible, right? You got hip hop. Those were like the two things that really influenced us and pushed us to move the way that we move today, back then, whatsoever, right? So can the elements of hip hop, like rhythm and flow, be seen as metaphors for cosmic order or chaos?
Absolutely.
Okay. In what way?
It's the way that it's written about in the mythos stories, right? Like, for instance, and I'm glad you asked that question, because this was something that I realized I didn't add in there when I was talking, but now I get a chance to do it. So thank you for the question.
Mm-hmm.
Atum, A-T-U-M, Atum, who is one of the most earliest forms of deity who set forth creation in the ancient Kemetan, one of the ancient Kemetan creation stories, right? The other one is the and the Ennead and all them, right? But what it says is that they say sometimes he set forth the universe in motion by an act of what they call masturbation. So what they're saying is, here's this being who is creating within itself. Mm-hmm. It basically provides an energetic expulsion, right? An energetic expulsion. And it's said that when Atum, if we go from the lens of him masturbating, I say this is a metaphor. They're trying to say the actual spermatozoa that are swimming are comets. They are planets. They are things that are moving. They're celestial objects. So when you understand the Black thought, like, you telling me he let one off and it turned into Orion? Mm-hmm. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you think about this, like, wait, he let it off and it turned into the Zodiac?
Right.
That's crazy. Like that,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is said that when he did it, the sound of creation was this. Whoo! That's the owl. Also, the question that you ask, who?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's also a lot of times when we do have that energetic explosion, as we're gonna say, woo! You know what I mean? But also, exactly. But the rappers are utilizing it in songs now, and they say, woo!
Yeah, especially the
Yeah.
Migos. You heard?
That's what they're explaining. It's the creation.
You
know what I mean? The other one that they say, if you don't look at it from the lens of him masturbating, it might be a little bit too much for the younger minds to comprehend. So they said he was spitting. So if you say he didn't ejaculate it out, he spit it out, which is even crazier, because it's like, that's what we do when we rapping, we spitting. So it's like when you are rapping or spitting, you're actually personifying in much elder and ancient form of creation, and you're connected to. Yeah, that's what I would say, brother.
Okay. All right, let's see what else. How do hip hop lyrics grapple with the concept of time, and does it reflect any metaphysical theories on temporality?
Okay. Can you ask that question one more time?
I'll ask you one more time. How do hip hop lyrics grapple the concept of time, right? And does it reflect any metaphysical theories on temporality?
Okay. How does it grapple with time?
Let's answer that part first. Yeah, how does it grapple with time?
Yeah, so I think one of the ways that it would grapple with time is when you're trying to, like, for instance, like record a song, you have to be, like I said earlier, be in pocket. Like, there's some rappers who get on the beat and like they fight the beat, and it sounds very harsh sounding to the ears. It doesn't sound as good as it would if they just flowed with the beat. Some people, by way of their meters and the time signatures, I don't know all the language. There's a South African brother named Mazbouk or something like that. M-A-Z something like M-A-Z-B-O-Q or something like that. But he also has a hip hop thesis, but it's more from the aspect of rapping specifically. And he's talking about rap being mathematics. You know what I mean? And in the quadrivium, they stated that music was known as number in time. So music, number in time, right? The quadrivium there's actually something called the 7 liberal arts, right? There's the quadrivium, and then there's the trivium. The trivium is, I think, speech, rhetoric, and philosophy or something like that. And then the quadrivium is astronomy, music, arithmetic, and music, astronomy, something else. But music is known as number in time. So any time where you're going to create a song, you got the BPMs, you got the beats per minute, you got the tempo of the song. You know what I mean? Like, the entire conception of it is grappling with time, if that makes sense. You have to be on time when it comes to like laying vocals down. You know what I mean? When it comes to being in sync with, for instance, like people who lip sync and they don't want people to know that they lip sync. They have to literally be on time with what they're saying, or else people go, hey, their mouth not going with the words, you know, to create the whole entire debacle. Now, when you say temporality, what are you referring to?
So it's like that temporality is like, how does it exist within time?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm guessing the question is asking like, how does the lyrics exist within time? Right? I know that it can grapple inside of it. Like right now, if we listen to something, it's gonna be in this time, in this moment, and things of that nature. But how does that continue to push, whether forward or like, how does that continue to push in time and hurt us? Right? Like, is it hurting us as it goes through the existence of that time, or is it setting a new precedence for our future as it's going through that time? Like, I'm guessing what they're asking in that sense is like, how does the music, or when the artist is creating this music, how does it exist within the time? I'm pretty sure you already answered it. It's like it was like a yeah. It's
The
like
only thing that's even coming to my mind right now when it comes to that is there's a Jaden Smith line when he was like 14. He said it. He said something like, "In every word that you say is something that you can't like take back," or so. I forget how he said.
right.
When once you say it, it's said. And this is where I say, if I say, "Yo," y'all just hear it as like it was very immediate, but
Okay.
on the atomic and subatomic level, that "yo" is more like yo, and it's literally traveling through like on some Ant-Man ish, like it's all these smaller realms and precipitating into all those realms. So if you say something harmful, you can't take it back, and it's still this somewhere. Like basically, where does sound go when we no longer
echo?
Exactly. But that's how it exists within time, and then we reinforce that when we say these things that are like mantras.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best.
All right, last but not least, and we're gonna get into the last two parts of the show, right? How does the hip hop community, or how can the hip hop community's exploration of identity align with metaphysical discussions on being and essence? Being and essence. So I'm gonna read that again. How does or how can the hip hop community's exploration of identity align with metaphysical discussions on being and essence?
Literally, it's gonna sound wild, but like enacting the hip hop ceremony. That's the best way to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like going to shows, visit your local show. There's somebody this weekend or something having a pop-up show with some local artists in there. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a city that's heavily populated by Black folks, you're gonna go in that space and be able to see a large, just a plethora of different kind of beings. That's why I thought when Free Soul went on tour, I thought it was beautiful because I'm like, oh wow, look at how he's taking the community and bringing, because we all talked about that years ago. It was like, man, we need to be able to like meet each other in person, you know, because we are already experiencing this online. So it's like, how can we experience this in person? The best way is literally just having hip hop ceremonies. This is what I'm saying. The Black folks that care about this, you will see them in the future push for these kind of moments, whether it's a one pop-up show or it's like something that they every month or whatever, an artist getting landing a residency and playing music, whatever the case may be. It's about going out and having that conversation while we're in the moment of participating in the ceremony. Like I said, it's about bringing together all the elements of nature, which includes all the humans, includes us in all of different stages of our evolution as well.
Right. And we need more people like you, man, who actually give knowledge and information about the truth of hip hop. You feel what I'm saying? The true definition of what it is, because I feel like for many of ages, many of years, that has just gotten lost in the wind, and it has turned and spiraled and flipped into so many different things that it can become unrecognizable.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? So I really, really appreciate you coming on, giving us part one. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you already know how we do on the show. I always ask thought-provoking questions before we get out of here that we can, offer or ask to individuals who are in spaces that we want to be in. These questions are also for people to take time to go research and learn and figure out things about themselves as well. So we've been doing 100 questions. We're on number 46. Today I have, how do you foster innovation and creativity within yourself, your family, or an organization?
This is how do you foster it?
How do you foster innovation and creativity? Yep.
Let's see. Well, for instance, right, like my daughter, she's going to get out of school in about like an hour and a half, right? Typically, when she comes home, we'll do an activity, whether it's a writing activity, she might do something like, I might put water inside of a bucket and let her do like some stuff that is like floating or something. Recently, what we did was I went to the library about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I saw this sheet in the children's section, and it's basically like a little maze, but it has these activities that you do. One of them is like sing a verse from your favorite song. Another one is like count to 10 as fast as you can, or like say the alphabet backwards, or, you know, there's all these little things that it has helped bring my family together when we actually do that. Last night, my wife and my daughter and I, we were actually playing Guess Who, you know, to just see the way that my wife was helping to walk her through understanding the game more was a very beautiful thing. That's one of the ways that is being fostered in my household. So also when it comes to like outside of the house, like having opportunities like this is able to do that. But then also just having, like, for instance, like I'm a visual artist. So like there's been times where I've gone to like artist studio meetups, you know, and I'm the only visual artist there. Everybody else was sewing, you know, but there was a wealth of creativity. I'm immersed in South African threads, and I'm seeing the people sew this stuff by hand. And I'm like, wow, like what kind of stitching is that called? Like, do you know what I mean? Like there was so much there. And it was like 3 different people who have 3 different brands that are amazing. You know what I mean? So just to be in environments like that. Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. Anything else you got to share, man, before we get to the words of wisdom?
I would say, remember that hip hop is eternal. Hip hop is our birthright. Hip hop is our exodus and our Tower of Babel. We never really lost our language, because everybody smiles in the same language. Everybody cries and experiences the pains or the joys of life, regardless of what verbal language they speak. So it shows we never actually lost our language. We might be grappling with our ability to express the truest form of that language.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. And for everybody that has tuned in, man, I appreciate you guys coming on the live. 1 second.
Yeah.
No problem.
Siri, y'all. Siri keep coming up here. Now I appreciate you guys, man. Hey, listen, I wanted to do a quick announcement while I still got everybody here as well. My new manual, Building a Personal Brand 101, is now available on lulu.com, y'all. Please take your time to go up there and you know, just support. I worked really hard on this. You know, I'm motivated by my brothers like Devin, my brother that's been in the chat, No Dream Straight Visions. They keep me on my toes. I believe this is definitely something very insightful for entrepreneurs, for business owners, and just individuals who truly want to push their brand. Go cop this, lulu.com, $11.11, y'all. That's all it is. All right. That's all it is. Other than that, we're gonna continue to push these shows every Tuesday and Thursday, 5:55 p.m. I appreciate my guy Devin Morris for coming out and just giving us some very insightful and beautiful knowledge, man. Because, you know, again, we like to think that hip hop is just music, and it's definitely more than that. It's a culture, it's a movement. You feel what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, the season that we're in, we're starting to see what my guy Ye said, that there's a lot of vultures in this community, right? That's pretty much bringing it down and taking it away from its true essence. And as we're in this build and destroy season, y'all are going to see us get back to a true balance of what hip hop really is. It's community, it's knowledge. You feel what I'm saying? It's an upliftment of the people. You dig what I'm saying? And with that, words of wisdom, truth cannot change, but lies can. You feel me? Truth cannot change, but lies can. So y'all take that with you. Remember, someone has to see your greatness. When I start with yourself, stay blessed, always finesse. Definitely trust the Most High's process, the truest keys to success. This is another dope episode with my guy, Devin Mars, man, to the moon and beyond, God.
My brother, I appreciate you for welcoming me on the platform again. And I thank everybody who tuned in. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And for everybody who's going to watch this in the future, I thank y'all for lending your time, your energy, in the space for me to have this message be received. Thank y'all. One love, y'all.
One love. Peace.